Naomi King talking about budgets. This is our object lesson for the day. It is to tell you that you can in fact have peace and tranquility when you do your budget. So that's our object lesson. We'll keep that in the background as we go through this process of learning how to budget. Are you doing your budget? I hope so. There's a couple things I want you to know before we start this process of budgeting. Number one, I want you to know that it's easy math. Take the stress off of yourself. This is second grade math. It's long subtraction, but we can all do it, right? Subtract, subtract, subtract. All it is income minus all of your expenses. Very simple. It's important that you know that you're doing it with your spouse if you're married. You don't do it by yourself, okay? You do it with your spouse because somewhere in the month someone's in charge of the budget and someone wants to go out and have a steak and the person running the budget says it's not in the budget, and then you start World War III about going out for dinner. So you want to do it together and agree in advance if you're even going to go out for dinner, and if you are, then go because you planned for it. The other thing you need to know is that you need to put it down either on paper or you need to do it online. The two places I want to recommend today are mint.com. A lot of people like that. I can't speak for it personally, but I've heard great things. Or my favorite, everydollar.com. This comes from the Ramsey people. Everydollar.com. It's simple, free software online to do your budget in about 5 minutes. It's really fun to use. And just so that you know, there are two types of budgets. There's the lazy budget that just says, oh, I'm spending here and spending there. And then there's the right kind of budget. It's a zero-based budget where you're accounting for every single dollar in advance. You're telling the money before the month begins where it's going. And that's the kind of budget that we are going to create today. So let's take a look here. Here's our budget, and once again, we're doing it for a specific month. We're doing it for next month, the month of June. The average American right now is making $50,000 a year, okay? So if you're making $50,000 a year, that means that you're taking home approximately $3,000, okay? So you can spend $3,000 on paper. That's what we're going to do. The first place that we often want to start is we want to start with giving. This is the way that we remember that everything we have is a gift that's been given to us, and so we freely give it back. Great place to start is that 10% mark, which for this family would be $300. Now, housing. This is when things get complicated really quick. There was a book that came out a couple years ago. Do you remember this? The Automatic Millionaire. And there was this theory that he put out that was that we were all destroying our budgets because of the latte factor. Do you remember the latte factor? That said that we were drinking so much Starbucks that we were destroying our budget. Well, I think that where we're actually destroying our budget is on the housing end. The number that you really want to be in is you need to be between 25 and 30% of this take-home number. So between 25 and 30% is, for this couple, is $900 that they can spend. Now I can hear the complaining from the East Coast and the West Coast people, that'll never work. Those numbers will never work for me. I'm just simply trying to tell you the reality of what it's like to live on a budget. Somewhere in the year you will find yourself living on credit if you don't account for those numbers early on. You want to make sure that you're doing that 30% max because life is just so very expensive. You either need to up the income or move to a different city. Sorry to say, it's just the truth. Phone and internet. If you haven't shopped new companies lately, I want to throw out a new name to you, Republic Wireless. This is a really great service that runs on the Sprint network. My husband and I are paying $26 a month for unlimited talk and text on Republic Wireless, and we're getting great service. We're saving $70 a month on our bills. So with our internet, we are paying $70 right now. Utilities. Now this is the reason why it's important to account for the month, because June, I live in Texas now, our prices are about to go crazy with our air conditioning bills. So we need to be preparing for its particular month. I'm going to put utilities, hopefully on a smaller home, right at that $150 mark. Now the food category right now, let's talk about that for a second. You'll see this little symbol right here. This little symbol for me is to tell you I think that you should be using cash. If you're having trouble staying in your food budget, then I would use cash. It helps you stay on track. My family uses between $100 and $125 every week on food, not to exceed $500 for our family of 3. Every family is different, but I think using cash will help you stay in a number that you're comfortable with and you won't go over. Transportation, I know you're thinking that I'm saying car payment, but I'm not talking car payment. This number is actually for just gas or for a bus pass. And let me tell you, if you have the luxury of having mass transportation in your city, use it. I am sure that my husband and I are far ahead at this place in our life because we had so many years without a car. We saved so much money using mass transit. But for most people, let's give them $100 to spend here on their gas for transportation. Here's our insurance for our cars. My husband and I have 2 older cars. Our monthly premium is $80 that we're paying right now. Older cars keep the price down. Now, so far with all of our numbers here, this family has $900 still to spend. We've still got $900 left from our $3,000. Now, this is where you can start doing some personal things. Maybe this is when you're going to go out to eat, or you're going to go out with your friends. You're going to buy some clothing. And this number will be really contingent upon where you stand with your debt, because a lot of this money for many Americans needs to be going into the debt category. So if you're not familiar with the best way to handle debt, it is the debt snowball made famous by Dave Ramsey, where you list your debt smallest to largest. So 1, 2, 3 down the line. Number 1 would be $500, let's say, to Visa. Number 2 may be a $5,000 car payment, let's say. Number 3 might be a $9,000, let's say, student loan. All right, and so the way the debt snowball works is that $900 is going to go for the littlest one first, and you're going to knock it out. That one you should knock out the first month. Just get rid of it. Don't eat out. Don't buy any clothes, and get rid of your Visa payment. And then every month you'll have more money to apply to the next one, which is the car payment. So that's the way that the basics of the budgets and how I run it. How do you run a budget? Are you using a software that you really enjoy, or do you like pen and paper? We're all a little bit different, but I'd love to hear how you're being successful with your budget, and just don't forget to budget. Do it on paper, on purpose.